And welcome into the Panther Pride Show here on TV 24, a weekly look at Walter Wellborn High School football with the head coach of the Panthers, Coach Jeff Smith. I'm John Holder. Welcome in. Glad to have you with us again this week. Last Friday night on the hill at Walter Wellborn, senior night. Wellborn taking on Pleasant Valley, one of those good old-fashioned Calhoun County rival games. And a great game again in Class 3A Region 6. There's been a lot of those. This was a great football game beginning to end. Pleasant Valley comes out with a win 27-26.
It was a very hard-fought game. You know, we got on them and was ahead 20-0, and you know they showed a lot and came back and ended up beating us 27-26. It was a tough loss, but a well hard-fought game.
An interesting game between Walter Wellborn and Pleasant Valley. As we said, Calhoun County rivals, Region 6 rivals. We'll take a look at the first half highlights and more as the Panther Pride Show continues here on TV 24. Back on the Panther Pride Show here on TV 24, Wellborn at home, final home game of the year. Later on in the show, we'll show you some of the senior night festivities that went on out on the hill at Walter Wellborn. But coach, your team playing Pleasant Valley again. One of the things that you have done very well this year, I think consistently throughout the entire season, your team seems to get off to a good start, and you did that again, getting off to a good start against Pleasant Valley.
Yeah, we did. We came out the first 5 minutes of the game and really played well. I felt like we was ready to play when the game started. The problem with our game this week is we started out real strong and kind of let up and lost some momentum, and Pleasant Valley caught it, and we just couldn't get the momentum back.
We take a look at the first half highlights here, and we'll see again some good things happening for your football team right off the bat here as we look at the first quarter action from the hill.
Well, here we run like a quarterback keep play right here, and that was the first play of the game right there, and got a good first down with it. Here we ran a midline play that right up the middle with Contreras. Here you see Calvin makes a really good run, and we had some good blocking right here, and we got the ball down there. I think it's on the 8-yard line here, and then here Jet kept it and goes into the end zone right there, and we go up there 6-0. Kicked the extra point, 7-0 right here. We start out strong defensively right here. Had some good gang tackling right there. Come up here and they try a middle screen right there, and we read it out real good, and Harley Kendall made an excellent play there on it. Come back here, and Calvin has a real good run on a play here that actually we changed it at the line of scrimmage right there, and got a good run here and got down there in their territory again. And again, we hit that same keep play right here, and Jet took it to the house on this play here. 14-0 us right there. We kick off. Come down here. I think they have a pretty good kickoff return right here, and yes, they did. They got the ball. I think we end up actually making a tackle. Logan Brooks makes a good tackle there, and they get the ball about midfield. But we stiffen back up on defense right here, and you can see us running to the ball here and get some good tackles here, and we get them stopped. Logan Brooks is going to come up here and have a good sack right here and sack the quarterback here, and they have to end up punting the ball to us here coming up. Logan again here on the tackle right there, and that's Christian Figueroa and Amante and Calvin and Contreras getting over there on that tackle. Here Jed has a real good stop right here, gets fullback up the middle here, and then we get the ball back here, and then again has a good run right here, and is moving down the field here, makes some good moves here, and gets the ball up the field here. I think we're on probably about their 30-yard line here, and then Contreras has a nice run here, loses his helmet here, and when his helmet comes off right there, they have to stop play. Here we sneak the ball in right there and score, and now we're up 20-0. Now we missed our extra point, and that hurts because every point in a game like this matters. They came up here and ran a little screen play right here, and Logan Hill comes up and makes a good tackle. Logan's really come through for us and has had a really good year for us.
Walter Wellborn leads it 20-0 at halftime on the hill at Walter Wellborn Friday night. And Coach, it just seems like watching this game, watching you there in the first half, considering you're playing a good football team, good solid team in Pleasant Valley, it might have been one of your best halves of football this season.
Well, we played well. We really did. We came out and played good offensively and defensively. We did that one breakdown on the kickoff team that they got the ball to midfield, but other than that, we really dominated the first half. And, real proud of the kids for that. we went down at halftime and made some adjustments right there. But I think we just, relaxed. And then when we did that right there, they caught the momentum and didn't let it go. They got a good football team, but it's the best Pleasant Valley team they've had in years. And, you can't relax on a team like that, or any team that we're playing in our region. Our region's very tough.
It was not only senior night for the football team, but it's also senior night for the band members and cheerleaders and things like that. And so this was the last performance of the year for the Highlander Band at home before the home crowd at Wellborn Stadium. And so as we go to break and get ready for second half highlights, more of the Walter Wellborn Highlander Band, their last performance on the hill this year at Walter Wellborn. Time for a second half action now of Walter Wellborn and Pleasant Valley back here on the Panther Pride Show. Coach, take us through the second half highlights here.
Well, we started off here and we kick, and their number 2 right here has a pretty good kickoff return right here, and it gets the ball probably to, I think it's to their 41, 42 yard line, and they just came in here and ran a belly play, and we filled it up in the hole it was supposed to go to, and he bounced it out and just had a good run. And he's a good back. I don't know his name. But number 32 for Pleasant Valley is a good back, and it's been a good back for them. Here we come back, we're answering it, and we're bringing the ball back down. And right here, to me, I think was a game changer right here. We turned the ball over. They got it. Contreras made a good tackle here, keeping it from being a touchdown. Then, they just caught the momentum at this time, and I just felt like that they had it the rest of the game. And, I think that was really a big game changer for them. But you know what? Things like that happen, and you have to overcome it and move on. And, we told our kids today, that's a life lesson. And, see our team, the entire team's back. We don't lose a starter for next year and everything. So this could be a good learning experience. Here, we pull up here and hit a post pattern down the field right here to Logan Hill, and we're up on them 26-13 here, starting into the fourth quarter. They throw a pass up right here and caught it, and we get the guy tackled here. That was 3rd down and 8 too. See, they converted a big 3rd down conversion here, and ended up getting into the end zone here and getting the game down to 1 score. They went for they tried the extra point, missed it. Here we have a good Jed again has another good run, and we're getting the ball back down, but we ended up having to punt the football to them right there, and then their quarterback has a good bootleg play that they run, and here they trapped us and got down the field. Again, they're down there in scoring territory here, and they run that belly play that they had here, and he gets in the end zone, and that puts them, I think they're down by 1, and they run it again here on the 2-point play, and he got it in. And so now they're ahead by 1. Now it's 2 minutes to go in the game, and we work on 2-minute offense every day. And here we come back here, and Jed hits Calvin for a good gain right here, and I think we're down to their 25-yard line right now. Here, that was the last play of the game right here. Where we tried to sneak it in right there. Officials said we didn't get in. We thought we got in, but hey, you go with the officials' call, and we accept that, and we move on.
Pleasant Valley wins the game 27-26. Coaches, we start looking at some of the individual awards this week. I know you were telling me earlier, Jet Smith, your son, just had an incredible individual performance in this game.
Well, he did. I mean, he had a lot of yards rushing. I mean, I can't quote exactly how many it was, but it was up there. He had well over 100 yards rushing and had 80 yards passing and made 16 tackles on defense. You know, that was a good performance, but, you know, when we had others had a good performance. It wasn't just him, but he did have a good night.
Let's take a look at the individual awards for this week. Take us through those.
Well, Scrambler was Dylan Gilbert, and he's been really steady for us this year right there, and he was our highest offensive line grade. Jet was a racehorse. He was 4 for 5 passing, and I'm wanting to say 120 yards rushing. I'm not positive, but it was up there. The pancake block was Dylan Gilbert and Harley Kendall. Headhunter was Jet. He made 16 tackles in the game. Big Hog was Jet. That was the best linebacker defensive line performance. 12th man was Jet on his punting. Hardest hit, Contreras had a real good hit here, and the meanest Panther was Contreras.
Coach, there's the offensive and defensive player awards here, and we mentioned a big game by Jet Smith. There it is.
Yeah, he had a good ball game. He sure did. You know, and that's great that he had such a good ball game. But how I know Jet is he would have traded all that in to get a win Friday night over that. So, you know, it was a good performance and everything. But again, we're still trying to get the W out at the end of the day, and we weren't able to do that.
Coach, this game kind of reminded me of the Alabama-Auburn game in 2010, what they call the comeback, where, you know, that was one of those games where the momentum is inexplicable. To this day, probably Alabama couldn't explain exactly what happened that day, but you mentioned the momentum sometimes, and that's a big thing in all sports, but especially in football, and sometimes when that momentum swings, it's difficult to deal with.
It is. Well, you know, football is such a team sport. When one team decides that, you know, that they're going to play together and play hard right there, it's hard to stop it, you know, and that's exactly what Pleasant Bay did. I thought the first half that, you know, we played very well, you know, and then the second half right there, you know, they scored, and then we came back and we're driving there to answer the score right there. And again, you know, we had the turnover. And when that happened, they caught the momentum, and we just couldn't get it back. But, you know, look, today we talked to the players. This could be a good learning experience for us, and that's the way we got to look at it. See, we've got, like I said, we've got everybody back. I mean, we got all our offense and defensive starters back. Friday night will be our last ball game this season right here with Piedmont. But by me saying that is this, we'll go from having 3 seniors this year to we'll have 15 seniors next year. And we've not had our team is this old, you know, since basically my oldest son Judd played, and he graduated in 2013.
Wow. Well, bright future ahead. We'll talk about that future with some of the players coming up. We've got a couple of players from Walter Wellborn that will join us here on the set next as the Panther Pride Show continues here on TV 24. And we're back here on the Panther Pride Show. Promise you some Walter Wellborn football players. Keontae Curry's with us. Also, Caden Goodwin is with us. A couple of the key players for this Walter Wellborn team. And both of you guys are kind of legacy players. And by that, I mean you've had relatives that have gone before you that have been Wellborn football players. So we'll start with you, Keontae. What's it like kind of living up to that standard of guys that have relatives and folks like that have played before you at Walter Wellborn through the years? Just really being kind of one of those deals where is there more pressure put on to play good because you got those guys, maybe fathers and aunts and uncles, grandfathers, things like that are saying, you know, well, hey, this is Wellborn and you got to play well and keep the Wellborn standard up. Is that something you hear from your relatives?
Kinda.
Well, tell us about just this season so far. It's kind of been, I know there've been some ups and downs and so forth, but an improvement from last year to this year. Just tell us about the kind of season you think you've had.
I think I had a good season from last year. I think I did better than last year.
What do you think it's like? Tell folks just from your perspective what it's like kind of running through that sign we saw in the very beginning of the program here as we see most weeks running through that sign. What's that like for folks who have never experienced getting to run out on that field on Friday night with the cheerleaders and the band and the fans cheering in the stands? What's that like?
It's exciting.
Exciting stuff, huh? All right, Caden, tell us a little bit about you're another legacy player. So you got a lot of guys relatives that played before you there. Do you feel that pressure as well to perform well and be a Wellborn Panther on Friday night and carry that tradition on?
Yes, sir. It gives you something to play for. You think you have to live up to their standards.
All right, what happened here? Football's a tough sport. What's going on there?
I broke it during the Sacs game.
Oh, wow. So you've been playing for a long time with that, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, Coach Smith tells me that you've never made a B. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So getting it done on the field and off the field. This time of year, how tough is that to balance the academics and the studying and the test, and then football practice and games and studying film and that kind of stuff? How hard is that?
It's harder because you have to come home straight after practice and get the homework and everything else, and then get up early in the morning, work out, and then go for a test in class. But you have to keep it up. You
guys excited, I'm sure, about the future because only 3 seniors on the team. So the future, I think, for Wellborn looks bright. You guys excited about that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Well, thank y'all very much for being here with us on the Panther Pride Show. Enjoyed having you guys with us here. Caden Goodwin, also Keontae Curry, our guest here on the Panther Pride Show. We'll be back. We're going to take a look at some of the senior night festivities, look ahead to the Piedmont game as the Panther Pride Show rolls on here on TV 24. Wrapping up this week's Panther Pride Show here on TV 24. We've mentioned a couple of times it was senior night, your last home game. Only 3 seniors on this football team. We met those guys a couple of weeks back, but we've got some footage here of some of the senior night activities, as we mentioned, not just with the football team, but everybody involved with the band and cheerleaders and so forth. Tell us about senior night.
Well, the first one was Logan Smith, and this is Bryce Hill, and this is Casey Thompson, and they were on a show here a couple of weeks ago right there, and got the chance to see them, and you know it's and that's my daughter Leah right there. Me and Lisa right there. Was our second child is coming out as a senior now, so it goes quick. The Hicks twins right there, and you know, there's some of our band members and their families there, and you know, it's just you see them when they come up to us in the 7th grade, and it's like a blink of an eye, and then they're graduating on us, and you know, it's tough. It's tough to see them start up as 7th graders, to see them graduate, but you know, again, excited for them too.
I was about to mention that as long as you've been now at Wellborn in your tenure there, you've literally seen these young people grow up. And this, of course, I know being a Wellborn guy, you probably know all their parents and brothers and sisters and aunts, uncles, grandparents, and the whole 9 yards.
Know a lot of them. You know, we had Keontae and Caden up here just a minute ago. Well, you know, when we moved back from Birmingham, they were all in the 1st grade. You know, so Jet started with them as a 1st grader. So I've seen these kids come up for 10 years now. So it's just and all the ones in front of them, it's some kind of experience.
It goes by like that.
Yes.
You and I talk about how quick the seasons go by.
Flies.
And we're now here to the last week of the regular season for a lot of teams, including your team coming up. And we'll talk about the next matchup, the look ahead, taking on Piedmont Friday night at the Field of Champions at Piedmont, another one of those big Calhoun County rivals. This rivalry goes all the way back into the 50s and 60s.
Absolutely.
There's been some great games between Wellborn and Piedmont through the years. Certainly a tradition-rich game between 2 tradition-rich programs here.
Well, I've got a lot of friends that played in the 60s that played for Wellborn then, and they've always maintained through the years that the toughest teams that they played was those Piedmont teams, and you know, that says a lot. You know, we didn't play them for years because you know they were a smaller school and we were a bigger school, and you know, with the annexation that happened that brought us down to 3A, you know, now it's become, you know, quite a game. Now they've had the best of it the last few years right there because they've really been up, and again, we've been young, but you know, hey, we're looking forward to it. This is, you know, we're not going to the playoffs. This is going to be our last ball game of the year, but we're going to go into it and give it everything we got.
And you mentioned this being a young football team, and you mentioned having only 3 seniors. The future is just really so bright out there, virtually the entire team coming back.
Yes, well, I mean, what we do, I mean, if everything works out like it should, and of course a lot of things change in a year, but our offense and defensive starters are all intact back for the next year. I've never been a part of a team that's been like that. But now I've never been a part of a team that's been as young as we have for the last couple of years. You know, last year we were basically a 9th and 10th grade team. This year was a 10th, 11th grade team. Now finally, this coming year we'll get to be juniors and seniors again. We've got some good kids coming underneath those juniors and seniors too. Our junior high had a good season this year, went 6-1. So our future's bright, and we're looking forward to it.
What's the message this week coming off the Pleasant Valley game, now headed into Piedmont, big rival game? What's the message this week during practice to your team heading into Piedmont?
Well, we learn from what happened. And I talked to the 3 seniors this morning too. I told them, I said, now look, I'm going to start talking about the future and everything. That's nothing against y'all, but that's the reality of what it is. But with the experience that we had with Pleasant Valley, being up on them like we were at halftime, and kind of relaxing and losing the momentum and them coming back on us, that's a learning experience that we need to take into next year and remember that and don't let that happen to us again. The same thing like I mentioned earlier in the year about Randolph County, how they prepare for a football game and how they approach it. That we've had some learning experiences happen to us this year that if we'll be mature enough and remember it and learn from our mistakes right there, it'll pay a lot of dividends for us in the future.
Big rival game, 2 traditional powers here in Calhoun County, 2 tradition-rich programs, Piedmont and Walter Wellborn. 7 o'clock at the Field of Champions at Piedmont. You Wellborn fans get out there to the game, and then we'll be back here next week to review the Walter Wellborn Panthers and Piedmont Bulldogs here on the Panther Pride Show on TV 24. We'll see you back here next week.